Welcome back, guys, to Ace Attorney Investigations 2 Prosecutor's Gambit, where last episode we uncovered the assassination attempt as a bit of a sham, as it was all set up by President Wang here with Mr. Knight's help. But there's still a question hanging over everything. Yes, it may have just been a ploy to boost the president's popularity back home, but Rook is dead. Who shot Rook? Why did Rook have to be shot? That is the question that the president asks us at this point in time. So let's delve into it just a little bit more. Why did Rook have to die? If the whole thing was fake, how did he wind up getting killed for real? That's true, and therein lies the real question. He was a fine bodyguard, the best in fact. He may not have been a native of Zheng Fa, but he was someone I could fully trust. Mr. Rook must have been really something to gain the trust of someone who'd hide from his own shadow. Sounds like he was as trustworthy the president as I am to you, sir. I believe that's for me to say, Detective, not you. Mr. Rook must have known about the plan too then, correct? He wasn't aware of any specific details, so not really. I tried to involve him, but he refused. And you would have done well to listen to him. This is a tragedy. The life of a good man has been wasted. What was so great about him anyway? What's gone into him? It was just another piece on the board, there to protect you, nothing more. Mr. Knight, how could you? Who was it that actually went along with your plan, Mr. President? Well, that pious coward backed down when you needed him to step up the most. I value your support too, of course, but... Look, I'm your chief bodyguard now. That's all that matters. And now that that spineless fool Rook is gone, things are gonna change around here. Thanks to me, genius strategist, grandmaster, rightful leader of this team. We are all well aware of your ambitions, Knight. But doesn't this seem a little... imprudent to you? Why? My plan this time was perfect, as they always are, and as they always will be. That's quite a statement. Especially considering that your perfect plan was an abject failure. Yeah, no thanks to you, and that buffoon Rook. And how exactly was it Mr. Rook's fault? If he hadn't died, the killer would have never come after me. And I wouldn't have had to let you in on this plane. Please, Mr. Knight, you mustn't talk like that. Fine. The guy died protecting you, Mr. President. I'm sure that's just what he always wanted. But did he die protecting the president? Wait, I thought the whole assassination thing was fake. Oh, come on. Do I have to say everything twice? We planned a fake assassination. Somebody else came along and tried to make it real. 2 shots were fired, remember? Like you said, Edgeworth, one of them was the bullet I shot through that balloon. But the second, that wasn't me. Oh, really? Then who did fire it? The real assassin, but not to kill her. His plan was to come after the president with a knife. No, the most likely suspect here is the piece cowering quietly in the corner. Our lily white queen over there. What? Miss Lloyd? Again with this? I'm not your danged assassin. But is that really true? I, for one, don't believe it. The gun in the trash can, it can only belong to you. Ooh, testimony, Knight's Gambit. As soon as I shot that balloon, I rushed over to help Rook escort the president back onto the plane. I left Rook here in his room while I secured the president in the safe room. When I came back out, Rook was lying there on the ground. This journalist must have shot Rook while we were escorting the president off stage. That single killer shot was fired by the gun you found in the trash can. But there were 2 shots. So you don't actually know when the victim was struck by the bullet, do you? The knight doesn't protect the Rook, Edgeworth. He protects the king. You want to translate? He means that his only concern was protecting the president. Lose the king and you lose the game. Isn't that the first rule of chess? But a win in which a key piece is sacrificed is a hollow victory indeed. Doesn't matter. It's still a victory. I kept the president safe. I win. Well, it's a bit early to be calling our little match in any case, but this is where our battle really begins. As soon as I shot that balloon, I rushed over to help Rook escort the president back onto the plane.
Hold it!
The victim really didn't take part in your little plan then, did he? Nope, and we kept him in the dark on the details. So we really thought the president was in danger. But wait, he must have noticed that the shot came from right next to him. Like the Krauster. Maybe he did. Guess we'll never know. And even if he did know it was a sham, he still had a job to do. He still had to protect his king. And he was able to make a judgment like that in a split second. Impressive. He really was as capable as they say. Not so capable that I couldn't read him like a book. I made it so we had no choice but to go along with our little performance. I left Rook here in this room while I secured the president in the safe room.
Hold it!
Why do that? You and the president both knew the whole thing wasn't real. But it had to seem real. There were people everywhere. It's not a good look, right? Imagine if someone had spotted a man who'd just been shot at, hanging out in his plane, sipping grape juice like he didn't have a care in the world. And what was the victim doing during all of this? Who knows? I was in the safe room, like I said. Anyway, when I came back out, Rook was lying there on the ground.
Hold it!
Where on the ground exactly? Right where he is now, the middle of the floor. The door to the outside was shut though. Guess the bullet must have hit him right before he closed it. And thanks to his little blunder, my whole plan fell apart. Mr. Knight, you mustn't talk that way. It may have kept you safe, Mr. President, but he isn't here now to save your good name. I'd call that dereliction of duty. What would you call it? An honourable try, which is more than what you'd give, I'd say. Sorry, but that's just how it is. This journalist must have shot Rook while we were escorting the president off stage.
Hold it!
Weren't you and Mr. Rook both carrying bulletproof attaché cases? Yeah, opened them right after Rook spotted the laser sight. We moved into covering positions and used them to shield the president. So the bullet that hit Mr. Rook traveled through a gap in that defensive shield. Do you really believe Miss Lloyd to be that skilled a marksperson? No, she was aiming for the president. That makes her a lousy shot. So it was pure coincidence that Mr. Rook was hit. And the bullet simply happened to find its way past your attaché cases and through the gap in his vest? Seems crazy to me too, but the facts are the facts. It was a shot in a million, but the shooter hit the bullseye, and the proof is in your hands. That single killer shot was fired by the gun you found in the trash can.
Hold it!
So the second shot had nothing to do with you. Right, that one was fired by your little friend. Imagine the scoop she'd have bagged if it had hit its mark. I'm a journalist, you hear? I don't make facts, I report them. Yeah, journalists who sign up to a fake assassination plan in the hopes of getting a story. That's not... Look, I'll admit it. I set the whole thing up. And your role was to aim that laser pointer at the president. It's not my fault that wasn't enough for you. You were the one who decided to bring a gun to the party. Who knows? Maybe you thought if you kept on shooting, you could shut me up too. So Mr. Knight's suggesting that he first fired one shot and then Miss Lloyd fired one more. Yeah, basically implying that Tabby also had a gun on her. Beats me where she could have got one from, but hey. His entire testimony is pure conjecture. He can't prove any of it. You're right. Let's hit him with some cold, hard, undeniable evidence. Like the fact that... So what did you do? You had your gun, you shot the balloon, you quickly alley-ooped the gun into the crowd to Tabby Lloyd's position so that she could shoot the gun. So that two bullets were used from the same gun? Sure, two spent bullets, same as the victims. One gun, two shots. Your testimony doesn't make any sense. It's that single killer shot. Single.
Objection!
So you contend that it was you who shot the balloon and Miss Lloyd who shot Mr. Rook. Are you sure about that? Sure, I'm sure. While what you propose would indeed match up with the total number of shots heard, the gun from the trash can itself has also been fired twice. Now, why would the supposed number of shots heard from his gun differ from the number of spent rounds? It's simple, because it was planted by the real perpetrator of the crime. Somebody faked the evidence. Yes, and if you think about it, their reason for doing so was obvious. To ensure that whoever found the gun would conclude that the shooter had been in the spectator area. And in order to do that, they had to make it seem as if both shots had come from this one weapon. And also think that we're really dumb that the shot could come from there. I get it. So that's why it's got 2 spent rounds, huh? Precisely. As we have already proven, the bullet that burst the balloon came from a different weapon. Which makes it entirely possible that the bullet which killed Mr. Rook didn't come from this gun either. Nice work, Edgeworth. That's some high-grade sleuthing. But why don't you get to the point? You've come this far. Spit it out. Oh, I intend to, don't worry. The person who really shot Mr. Rook was...
Take that!
You, Mr. Knight. You're the one who murdered Mr. Rook. Oh, finally got up the courage to say it, huh? Surely not. Surely you wouldn't have. It wasn't only De Killer who tried to take advantage of this fake murder plot. You killed Mr. Rook hoping that he would look like an accidental victim of the bungled assassination. With the president locked away in the safe room and the door of the airplane tightly closed, it was just you and Mr. Rook alone, together. And that was when the 3rd bullet was fired, right into your colleague's body.
Objection!
Wait, you're really going to claim there's a 3rd one now? You just said only 2 gunshots were heard. Want to tell me how that works?
Objection!
Airplane cabins are practically soundproof, Mr. Knight, if you close the door. Nothing can be heard from the outside, not even gunfire. But wasn't the president right next door? Very true, which means he may have heard the shot himself. Well, Mr. President? I didn't hear anything. But you can observe this room through your security feed, can you not? The camera in this room isn't normally on. I have to manually switch it on when I enter the safe room. And that's what you did this time too, right? Well, that is... What's gotten into him? Mr. President, this is vitally important. Please, President Wang. Fine, I was busy hiding under the bed covering my ears. What? Even though you knew the whole thing wasn't real? Yes, because I hate the sound of guns. Just the slightest hint of that awful noise and, oh, it's just too much. Oof, that there's sadder than a pot of overcooked crawfish. Mr. Knight, you saw that President Wang was cowering beneath the bed. And what's more, you knew from the monitor bank that the security camera for this room hadn't been switched on, which means you knew that the circumstances were perfect for you to fire the 3rd shot straight at Mr. Rook. Knight, how could you? Could you really have betrayed my trust so horribly? You think I killed the old half-wit? You don't trust me much, huh? This is the thanks I get for putting my life on the line for you day after day. I want to believe you, but... I don't get it. I just don't get it. What is there to doubt here? What, you don't believe that the girl over there could have done it? No, because this gun isn't the murder weapon. We know this from the number of bullets fired. Yeah? Well, how do you know there wasn't a spent bullet from the start? What? Someone could have fired a bullet from that gun yesterday or the day before. Then today, another bullet. The bullet that hit Rook. That's pure speculation, pal, and you know it! Maybe, but can you prove it's not true? Not with any certainty, no. You're nothing without conclusive proof, so come on! A single piece of evidence, straight through my heart. I dare you. Well, what are you waiting for? I mean, I literally just said I didn't have it, but well, in my mind. There must be something, mustn't there, Mr. Edgeworth? If we can't prove it, Tabby's... Please, Ruffles. I messed up. I know I did. I should have never have done what I did, not even for a scoop. But murder? Nah, that ain't me. Ain't a murderous bone in my body. Conclusive proof. If only I could prove that Knight's gun is the murder weapon. Wait, perhaps I can. If you at least had the bullet that burst the balloon, you might have a scrap of credibility. Imagine, you could have run forensics to see if it matched my gun. If we had the bullet that killed Mr. Rook, forensics could tell us which gun it was fired from. No proof, no case. End of conversation.
Objection!
Hold it right there. What now? You're not about to claim you do have proof. Of course I do. This ought to be good. Alright, bring it on. Show me this proof of yours. The bullet that killed Mr. Rook is the key to ending our little game. Very well, my conclusive evidence is... not in my possession currently. That's very true. Not currently in my possession. Alright then, thanks for playing folks, but that's game over. However, it is here in this room. What? As we know, the bullet that killed Mr. Rook passed through his body. But where did it end its journey? Perhaps we should cast our minds back to an earlier conversation. After passing through his body, the bullet that took Mr. Rook's life then found itself lodged in the vest. He's right. If the president hadn't been wearing that vest, things could have been a lot worse. But now, of course, we know that the so-called assassination attempt was a complete fabrication. The vest was prepared in advance, made to look as if it had been hit by a bullet. Which begs the question, where is the real bullet? I like it. A twist. This is good stuff, Edgeworth. Come on then. Don't keep us in suspense. Does any of the evidence point to where the bullet that killed Mr. Rook might have ended up? Evidence not being used yet. One monitor is missing, of course, with smashed glass shards.
Take that!
There's something very clearly missing from this room. Yes, a prosecutor with some common sense. Take a look at the bank of security monitors. Oh! I see you've caught on, Mr. President. Splendid. But there are screens here showing views from all around this airplane, inside and out. The only external angle not covered is the right-hand side of the aircraft. And that's because one of the monitors is missing. There was a monitor in that space previously, wasn't there, Mr. President? There was. I have no idea what my plushie is doing there now, though. It appears to be someone's vain attempt to hide what is obviously lacking. We're missing a word. There's something lacking there, too. But where did it go, and why? The why is easy enough to answer, because it was struck by a bullet. For if we were to believe that the bullet in the vest was the real deal, then anything that hinted at the existence of another bullet had to be removed. So where did the missing monitor go? Where indeed? I believe that it must be hidden somewhere on this plane. After all, there wouldn't have been time to dispose of it outside the aircraft. Detective Gumshoe, conduct a search if you would. Right away, sir! Mr. President, extraterritoriality, remember? I have no objection to the search. Please go ahead. If it will help us discover the truth behind what happened to Rook, I will not stand in your way. What are you? I don't believe this! Rook this, Rook that! Don't you ever think about anybody else? The search has been authorized, Detective, if you wouldn't mind. Sir, I found the monitor. Excellent work. Now go ahead and extract the bullets. Let's see. If I put my hand in here and just... Come on. Got it! Well, would you look at that? Blood. This is the bullet that killed Mr. Rook. There's no doubt about it. Bloody bullet data has been jotted down in my organizer. And there you have it, Mr. Knight. The single piece of evidence you requested, straight for your heart. Even you must now admit, if this bullet didn't come from the Spectator area gun, then Miss Lloyd cannot be Mr. Rook's killer. What, no pithy comeback? Detective, have forensics analyze the bullet for striations and compare them to the gun we found. Yes, sir. We'll get the evidence you need. You can count on it. All right, let's hear what forensics has to say. Our findings are as follows, sir. Firstly, the blood on the bullet is indeed that of the victims, proving that it was the bullet that killed Mr. Rook. Secondly, we found Mr. Knight's fingerprints on the gun. Probably from when I handed all the evidence over to him. Ah, okay. So we can wave that away in a sense, in a court of law. Too much doubt there. Now for the key part, the striations. If they're not a match, then Miss Lloyd is in the clear. Lastly, the striations on the bullet are a match with this weapon. What? But how could that be? No way! Aw, come on! There's no doubt about it, sir. This is the gun that fired the bullet. Ow! Well, isn't that something? Conclusive proof that I was right. What's the matter? You didn't think you had me backed into a corner, did you? Guess you misread the board. Because the only one backed into a corner here is you. A counter-argument. There's no denying it. Forensics prove that the gun and the bullet are a match. The bullet that killed Rook was fired from the gun you found in the spectator area. So who pulled the trigger? It can't have been me. I was up on stage, which leaves your little friend. The hat killed Rook. She's the murderer, and you just proved it. And your move, Edgeworth, but just remember two things. One, where you found that gun. And two, which gun the fatal bullet came from. Whichever way you look at it, I can't have been the shooter. Ah, how did it come to this? Me and the president, we admitted to faking the assassination attempt. Now it's your turn to admit something. Who the killer really is. There's no way Tabby did it, is there? Don't let him get you, Kay. We just need to go over his statements again. There must be something further we can deduce from them. Okay, let's do this, Mr. Edgeworth. There's no denying it. Forensics prove that the gun and the bullet are a match.
Hold it!
No, that's...
Objection!
What was it you said? The forensics would back you up. Ah. How does it feel to be shot in the chest by your own conclusive proof, huh? Not so good, I imagine. The bullet and the gun are a match, Mr. Edgeworth. That kinda has to mean that Terry pulled the trigger, no? Even so, I simply cannot accept that. But sir, there's no denying the evidence. There isn't. So what am I missing? If I assume Miss Lloyd to be innocent, then the gun and the bullet shouldn't be a match. What is it, Kay? I was just thinking, if the evidence points to something that doesn't seem possible, then maybe there's something wrong with it. You're asking me to call the evidence into question. Well, there's no way Tabby did this, right? So if the evidence says that she did, then the problem must lie there. You seem very sure about this. Call it my great thief's intuition. Intuition, huh? Still, she could be right. I simply don't believe Miss Lloyd to be a malicious liar, which means... As someone who believes that evidence is everything in court, the irony is not lost on me, but... If I were to call a piece of evidence into question, it would have to be... Ooh. I mean... It would be of any of it. It can't be the bullet. Not with how striations work. It would have to be the gun. Could be neither of them too. But I think this is definitely lead us down the right route. I didn't think the press would send it straight down the path. If something untoward is going on here, it would have to involve the weapon, not the bullets. After all, we only just recovered the bullet a little while ago. Furthermore, we know that Mr. Knight had an opportunity to handle the gun. Now hand over the evidence you have gathered and remove yourselves from this plane. Oh, because we could have switched it. I'd do as he said if I were you, Edgeworth. Ah! This can't really be the end of the line, can it? Or just added another bullet to it. Indeed, he had ample opportunity. There's no doubt that this gun is the weapon that was used in the crime. Which means it must belong to... I mean, it obviously belongs to... him.
Take that!
The gun belongs to Mr. Knight. He switched them around. That has to be it. Switch for the one found in the spectator area? Well, I mean, obviously it doesn't have a laser sight on it for starters. bullet that killed Rook was fired from the gun you found in the spectator area.
Hold it! Objection!
Mr. Knight. No, you hold it. You are the one who proved this. Or are you saying the forensics was wrong? Well, the bullet had the victim's blood on it, which means it must be the one that took his life. And it does seem to have been fired from the gun we found in the trash can. Don't you just love this? Your face, Edgeworth. What a picture. The man in dire straits, yes. Well spotted, you. Let's just agree that the facts are what they are and move on. That gun fired the fatal bullet. So who pulled the trigger?
Hold it!
Yes, who indeed? Still can't bring yourself to admit the truth, huh? I get it. I was in your shoes just a few minutes ago. Burned me up on the inside, you know. Made me really want to shoot someone. Sorry, it's no laughing matter, I know. But we both know who really did shoot someone, don't we? It can't have been me. I was up on the stage, which leaves your little friend.
Hold it!
What proof is there that Miss Lloyd fired that gun? What proof? How about the forensics you ordered? They didn't find a prints though, did they? Yeah, the only prints they found were yours, pal.
Objection!
When I confiscated the evidence, probably. Anyway, say it wasn't Miss Journalist. Who was it? Because it can't have been me. Your own investigation put the shooter in the spectator area, didn't it? Can't I just say that's dumb? Ah. Are you ready to admit it yet? All the evidence points in one direction. But, like, we actually disproved that with the whole flag thing. That killed Rook. She's a murderer, and you just proved it.
Hold it!
That's not what I proved at all. Oh, yeah? So what did you prove? Still trying to make this about how I fired the first shot. Sure, you proved that, and I admitted it. So what? You're forgetting that you're here to do one thing, and one thing only. You got that right. To uncover the truth. And you think ruining your country's relationship with Zheng Fa is going to do that? No, your job is to solve an attempted assassination. Nothing else. I'll decide what my job is, thank you very much. You don't get to tell me what to do. Oh, sure. Let the trail go cold while you flip your wig over who gets to say what to who. Or you could finally do the right thing and admit that your little friend is guilty. Never. You're the guilty one here. There's no doubt about it. The markings on the bullet are consistent with those left by the weapon from the trash can. But if Mr. Knight would have tampered with the gun somehow, he could have only done it once I'd handed over the evidence, and not a moment before. Isn't there anything we can do, Mr. Edgeworth? There must be something. Our reasoning thus far has been sound, I'm sure of it. Which means we can overcome his defenses this time as well. Really? Even with the forensics results on his side? If the testimony is untruthful, there was always a contradiction to be found. Let's listen to what he has to say for himself one more time. Don't deny it. Forensics proof of the gun and the bullet are a match. I mean, that gave us a good state. That gave us stuff. That gave us something to present. But not yet. We just gotta prove that it's switched. So we're probably saying that it's been switched on a statement. It's unlikely to be this one. Now, we don't doubt this, so it's not this statement. The bullet that killed Rip was fired from the gun you found in the spectator area. We agree with this. Striations prove that. So who pulled the trigger? Nah. It can't be me. I was up on stage with Leisure Little Friend. The hat killed Rip. She's the murderer, and you just proved it. So it's to one of these two statements. But this is the only one that really leads to straight up a gun. Oh. Maybe we're leaning into it. Maybe we're just going to say, yes, we agree. But it was switched. Is that just simply it? And then point out the lack of fingerprints that was just said? Let's give it a go. We've got a full health bar.
Objection!
Admit it, you switched the guns, didn't you, Mr. Knight? That's why the markings match the weapon in question. It was yours all along. An intriguing move there, Edgeworth. And you must have made the switch when I handed over the evidence, while I was busy trying to make the case for remaining on the investigation. You took the laser sight from the gun we found in the trash can and put it on your own. Cool, that's quite dexterous. Then, not long afterwards, you handed that gun back to me instead of the one we found. I did, huh? You think I somehow knew you'd find, let alone run forensics on that bullet sometime in the future? Is that so strange? You're a chess player, after all. A man well used to thinking several moves ahead. I'm flattered. As much as it pains me to admit it, you're overestimating my abilities. Besides, do you even have any proof that I made the switch? We got another counter-argument. I think we're near, so let's keep on going. The gun is the same model as mine. Weird, sure, but it's just a coincidence. And look, there's a laser sight attached. Also, take a look at the cylinder. 2 spent bullets. Just what we'd expect to see. So what proof do you have that I switched the original gun out for mine, huh? None. That's what. You say I'm overestimating your abilities. You surprise me. What can I say? I'm a modest guy. More modest than you, that's for sure. Everywhere except at the chessboard, that is. Well, I don't see a chessboard here, do you? Shame. Still, guess that gives you a nice excuse. I didn't mess up. I just didn't have the right evidence. I don't think I'll be the one making excuses. Rather, I didn't mess up. They just got lucky with the evidence will be your excuse, I'd imagine. Trading barbs, are we? The gun is the same model as mine. Weird, sure, but it's just a coincidence.
Hold it!
A coincidence, you say? Or was it a necessity? It can't be both, pal. Sure it can. We bodyguards need to protect the president. And the girl needed to use a gun, but she probably doesn't know a whole lot about them. It's not so far-fetched for her to pick something she's heard of that we also happen to use. Okay, but why a revolver? Why is that your go-to gun? It's probably something to do with its ease of use. No spent casings to chase down, for example. Exactly. The perfect tool for a job where you can't afford to fail, or don't know what you're doing. Still, coincidence, necessity, doesn't make a whole lot of difference either way. And look, there's a laser sight attached. Yes.
Hold it!
Because you swapped it on there. Put up or shut up, Edgeworth. Where's your evidence? Well, that is... Don't go making accusations you can't back up. Or did your daddy never teach you that? As it stands, the facts are in my favor here. Also, take a look in the cylinder. 2 spent bullets. Just what we'd expect to see. Yeah, because you switched that round too.
Hold it!
I've been meaning to ask, actually. What about your own weapon? How many spent bullets are in its cylinder? This old girl here? Well now. Do I have to count all the times he accidentally nearly shot himself during things? I let loose a few rounds earlier, as you saw. Oh my god, we do! Wait, was that deliberate? That's kind of cool. He blows his gun every time he fires it. Oh, well, he's a FPS player then, isn't he? But even if I were to tell you how many there were at the time, you'd have no way of verifying that. Of course, in order to swap the guns properly, you'd have to maintain the right number of bullets per gun. He didn't have the chance to put on any gloves, though, which means... Alright, I think it's about time you did the right thing and resigned, don't you? Game's all but done, see? So what proof do you have that I switched the original gun out for mine, huh? None, that's what.
Hold it!
Objection.
The proof is... something you clearly don't have. If you did, you'd have made your move by now. We do still have proof. Right, Mr. Edgeworth? We won't be given the chance to investigate any further. I'll have to work with what we've gathered. Think, Miles, think. Consider all the possibilities. Hey, have you got the goods? It's now or never. How are we supposed to prove he switched the guns? Unfortunately, we don't have any direct evidence of his wrongdoings. But that in itself is proof of a kind. Because otherwise the striations shouldn't line up like they do, right, sir? Alright, we must carefully consider and infer what we can from the evidence he brings up in his testimony. The truth is in there somewhere. Alright, well I think we are literally presenting at the challenging statement, considering we got nothing from press. So what proof do you have that I switched the original gun out for mine, huh? None, that's what. Is it literally going to be... Does this not have any... I mean, it's the gun itself will have to be the proof. Oh, I can still examine this some more. This part is called the grip. I've held a few guns in my time, though they've never felt quite right in my hand. This one is no exception. I somehow hadn't actually examined that. Is the clue the fact that we actually didn't? And it reset? But nothing says there that there is... fingerprints, but we said that there was only those fingerprints. I'm just surprised that when we had forensics say that there wasn't anything updated about that. But I think it is the gun, and I think fingerprints are the line we're going on.
Objection!
And when it goes silent, you know we're right. I have your proof. Right here. That's your proof. I think you've been working too hard, Edgeworth. Not the gun itself, the evidence it carries. Evidence that will prove once and for all that it does in fact belong to you. I'm looking forward to this. Go ahead, make your move. What's about to come into play? The rook? The bishop? Not a pawn, surely. But the evidence the gun will provide takes the form of... yeah, what was said before. The fingerprints. Namely, your fingerprints, Mr. Knight.
Objection!
My prints? Of course my prints are on the gun. You handed it right to me when you gave up the evidence. How could they not be on there? It'll be the lack of.
Objection!
What if I told you there are prints on a part of the gun that you shouldn't have touched at any points? He reloads the gun. What? Where? You can't prove that. Oh, but I can. There is a place where your fingerprints could never have been left if things happened, as you say. Allow me to present the final piece of evidence that will bring our game to its rightful conclusion. You gave us a tale in and of itself, didn't you? Here, look closely at the cylinder, detective. 2 bullets fired, but where are the prints we're looking for, sir? Well, we'd have to dust for them, wouldn't we? It'd be these ones. These are left. It would be incomplete prints. You did indeed switch the guns when I handed you the evidence. But if that were all you had done, your deception would have been easily detected. Because the number of bullets fired by each gun was different. There were 2 spent bullets in the gun we found. Yeah, but what about Mr. Knight's gun? We know that he fired 2 bullets from the stage into the bloom. And he fired another bullet into Mr. Rook, ending his life. So 3 bullets in total, plus the few odd ones he let loose in shock during our little game. And after he shot, he reloaded his gun out of habit. With his bare hands, of course. Officer, where exactly were Mr. Knight's fingerprints found? The ones you mentioned in your report. Sir, they were found on the exterior of the weapon, but also on the bullets themselves. I'm not sure they could have gotten there just from me handing you the evidence, Mr. Knight. Can we get rid of this guy's gun now, please? And there we have it. Proof that you did indeed switch the guns. This gun, the one which fired the bullet that killed Mr. Rook, is yours. And in taking his life, you are the true assassin. I didn't... Checkmate. No! I was going to be the new chief of security. That blasted Rook. If it hadn't been for him, I would have been in charge by now. I would have been in control of the whole team. My plan was perfect. Fake assassination was supposed to be flawless. Detective Gumshoe. Right away, sir. Curse you, Edgeworth. Our game isn't over yet. I'm afraid this is as far as we go for today. The next moves we play will be in the courtroom. But it's not fair! It's not fair! Right. March 25th, 5:12 p.m. at Gorda Lake Lakeside Stage. My right is because I'm just wondering if you really want to be standing out in the open like this when Shelly the Killer just rode off in a boat. He could come back, you know. Mr. Edgeworth, I owe you a debt of gratitude. You exposed a murderer within the ranks of my own personal guard. I will not soon forget that. He's suddenly very presidential again, now that we're back outside the plane. I saw it, you know, when I first proposed the fake assassination to him. You want me to handle it, not Rook. Rook refused, but I can rely on you, can't I? Of course, sir. You can count on me. I'll put together a plan that can't possibly fail. And he'll play his part like the pawn he is. The hatred in his eyes was plain to see. He despised poor Rook. I was not entirely comfortable about moving forward with Knight in charge of our little deception. And looking back, I think he sensed my discomfort. I can't help thinking I played a part in his decision to end Rook's life. Mr. President, none of this would have happened if you hadn't plotted to fake an attempt on your own life. That was your crime, and it is a crime you will have to live with. You are right. I can only apologize for the part I played. And I will no doubt be made to pay for my actions in one way or another. But I thank you nonetheless. You solved the riddle of Rook's demise, and for that I shall be eternally grateful. I will be here in your country for a little while longer yet. But when I have returned home, perhaps you will visit us in Zengfar. You will always be welcome. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you! You all don't know how grateful I am! All's well that ends well. Miss Lloyd, the accusation of murder made against you was of course entirely groundless. But the fact remains that you were a willing participant in the staged assassination attempt. The police will no doubt wish to speak to you about the matter. You should be aware that you may well be punished for your actions. I know, and I'm awful sorry about everything, truly I am. I understand your desire for a scoop, but there are limits. There sure are. I got me some serious thinking to do. You did it, Mr. Edgeworth. That was something else. Local prosecutor solves assassination conundrum, earns eternal gratitude of president. How's that for a headline? Hey, there's my department. Mr. Prosecutor, how does it feel to solve such an important case? You must be over the moon. She certainly doesn't stay down for long. No comment. Dang, you're one tight-lipped son of a gun. As what I should be. This case is not over yet. It isn't. How come, sir? Because until we unravel the story behind this, the case will never be completely over. I guess everything's been presented right? We never actually presented you, did we? Or did we? I was trying to remember everything. But we never presented that, I can tell you that. He was here. He is active. He is still obviously probably trying to assassinate the president of Zengfar is another point to make completely clear. We just know who he is and we know that he has killed. He's out there.
Take that!
De Killer's calling card. Mr. De Killer has yet to complete his assignment. You mean he might still try to murder the president? I hope I'm wrong. But if I'm not, this could all blow up into something more sinister yet. As one would expect with the attempted assassination of a president, the case was all over the news, and my preparations for Mr. Knight's trial were constantly interrupted by requests from the press. There wasn't a person in the land who didn't know about the case. Everybody was talking about it. But in the midst of the frenzy that followed, nobody noticed that this was only the first move in a game far bigger than any of us could have imagined. And so ends our first case. We save our progress. Get ready to move on to the next one. Which is the captive turnabout. A hostage being taken? We'll find out next time. But yes, Shelly the Killer is back in the series. Or more to the point, it's quite funny because, of course, because this is the first time it's been released in the West officially. He's been in the series for quite a while, but, you know, he's back. And Edgeworth has to deal with it. Gumshoe has to deal with it. We all have to deal with it. What will he do? What's his next move? Will he kill? Will he come for the president? He's going to be in the country for a while longer, so you can bet we have more cases with him involved. But with our first one resolved, no bodyguards for that guy apart from, like, the pawns, I guess. We'll hope that he survives a little bit longer. Join me next time as we start off our next case. I'll see you guys then. I hope you enjoyed the first. Let's move on. Until then, I say, bye-bye.